Okay, we are now broadcasting live. So hello everyone and welcome to this week's IELTS writing webinar on IELTS writing task 1, describing a map. I'm Jamie and I'm here on behalf of IELTS online tests, and I'm joined today by our presenter Annalie. Hi there Annalie, thanks for coming.
Hi Jamie, hi everybody, hi Basil.
Great, welcome in.
Back again.
Good. So yeah, welcome in everyone. I'm glad you've joined us and you're here at the correct time. Just to say, if you're if you're here, please say hello in the chat. You can talk to us, you can ask us questions. There's also going to be an opportunity to ask questions in a Q&A after the presentation. So you can add your questions to the Q&A box at the bottom of your screen. So hello, welcome in everyone. Hi Carolina.
Alicia is there again. Hi. Hello in Ukraine.
Excellent.
In Brazil, fantastic. Saudi.
Hi there. Hi Al-Jazi. Excellent. Hi there, Omid. Welcome in. Great. So guys, today we are going to be focusing on an IELTS writing task describing a map. We've covered a similar topic in a previous webinar. We're going to look at it from a slightly different angle today. So I hope you'll find the presentation useful. You'll be able to catch the recording of this on our Facebook page early next week. And you can, as I said, you can ask us any questions during the presentation using the chat. So Annalie, if you're ready to go, I will hand over to you.
Thanks, Jamie. Hi, everybody, and welcome to this webinar. And good luck if you have your test coming up in the next couple of weeks. So as Jamie said, we're looking at the map again, and a slightly different version here, but one that comes up sometimes. So in particular, we're going to look at how you structure the map question, and the kind of grammar and the kind of prepositions of location that you need to use for the map. Okay. So let's look generally, first of all, at the map question. So this is the example that we're going to use today. So just take a quick look at that. And that's how the task would read for this kind of example. Okay. So first of all, just thinking very generally, task 1, academic. What can you tell me about the task 1, academic? What do you have to know in order to do it? Thinking about word count, things like that. Just put it in the chat. What do you know already about how to write the task 1? Okay, yeah, 150 words, yeah, 150 words. And how long should you spend on it? Okay, good, yeah, 20 minutes, okay. Yeah, so the minimum word count is 150. So yeah, if you write about 170 or 180, then that is fine. Okay, so yeah, describing a map in at least 150 words and trying to keep to 20 minutes. And remember always that you must have an overview for the task 1, where you put the key features, the main trends, the most important information. Okay, that's going to be very, very important. All right, so let's look a bit more in detail at this map. So have a look at our example. What exactly are we going to be describing here? Okay, it's a plan. Yeah, it's a university sports center, so it's a bit more general than the gym. Okay, very good, Dweed. It's the layout of a university sports center. And you're right, how it changes. Okay, how it changes. And what time period are we looking at? What are the 2 time periods? Okay, yeah, so we're moving forward into the future. So we got one from present and future. Very good, Kevin. Yeah, so we got now and we've got future, Alicia. So what kind of language, what kind of tenses are we going to need to use in this one? Okay, yeah, so when we talk about the plans, we're going to be using the future tense. And when we talk about the first one, we're going to be using the present tense, okay? So remember, this is very different from the one that we looked at before, where you've got changes from the past to the present, okay? So let's focus on the key features now, okay? What are we going to pick out from this? Okay, so as we said, we're looking particularly at a map in the present and then plans for the futures, okay? Proposals for the futures. So looking at this one, what kind of changes can you see? Any particular details there? Okay, so we have a leisure pool in the future plans. Okay, very good. We got more facilities in one single complex. Okay, that's right. It's bigger. Okay, and a new changing room. Okay, very good. Sports hall. So we had a mix there of details and kind of overall changes. Okay, so if you had to focus on the more general changes, what would you say? So like Ahmed says, so bigger is one thing. So what else could we say when we're talking about the main changes? Okay, very good, Ha. So definitely more facilities. What else? Thinking generally. Okay, so we have some new facilities like the dance studios and the sports. It's bigger, very good, huh? So the area is bigger as well. Okay, very good. So what we're going to do is look at how it is in the present and how it is going to be in the future. So talking about the present, it's smaller. We have some parts of it that are outdoors. Okay, so yeah, Chidinma, very good. It's all going to be incorporated, but in the present, you've actually got some outdoor facilities and fewer facilities. Whereas if we move to the future, the area is bigger, everything is incorporated, as Chidinma said, and we have the addition of some extra facilities as well. Okay, so very important to pick out the main trends and the most important changes and separate those from the detail. Okay, so how do we generally structure our task 1 academic? What are the different parts that we need to include? Okay, so there's an overview, Omid, very good. Yeah, and there's an introduction. Okay, all right, very good, Kate. So we got an introduction, we've got an overview, and then we have the details. Okay. All right, generally we maybe want to divide the details into 2 paragraphs. Okay, very good, Walaya. There's no conclusion in the task 1. Okay. You can put the overview after the introduction, or you can put it at the end of your answer. Okay, that's your choice. It won't make any difference, but you do need to start with the introduction. Okay, so what do we put in the introduction? Okay, you're a bit ahead of us, Davi. Just sort of generally speaking, what do we want to put in our introduction? Yeah. Okay, very good. Kyun, Pham, we need to paraphrase the question. Okay, no conclusion in task 1, to remember that. Yeah, so just a general what the maps describe, but not using the same words that you have in the question. Okay, because they won't include that in the word count. And it's very short, the introduction, maximum of 2 sentences. Okay, very good. Exactly, knowing, rewrite the question in your own words. Okay, how about the overview? What do we want to put in the overview? Okay, very good, Alicia. So the general trends, the key points, yeah, the overall changes. Okay, and again, quite short, you know, really maximum 4 sentences. It's not going to be no detail in the overview. Okay, so what do we put in the body? Okay, very good. So now we're going to be very specific. We're going to go into the details, and this is going to be the largest part of our answer. Okay, very good, right here. The details of each of the pictures. Okay. All right, so let's look more specifically at the introduction. So as we said, we're going to paraphrase the words in the question that we have here. What are the different ways that we can paraphrase? How could you, okay, very good. Okay, oh, hi, Night Furry's there. Yes, so we can use synonyms, we can use word order. Okay, yes, very good. The structure of the sentence can be changed. Okay, also the form of the word, changing from verb to noun to adjective. Okay, good, yeah, like noun clauses. Okay, and from passive to active, okay, as Ludovica said, or from active to passive. Okay, very good. So we're going to use all of those in order to paraphrase this question here. Okay, so we're just going to first of all highlight the words that you can paraphrase. Okay, so first one is show. So what synonym could we use for show? Okay, depict is very nice, yeah, or illustrate. So yeah, generally we like to say or represent, describe. Those are all very good. Okay, and here we've got now in the question, so we've got an adverb. So if we wanted to use an adjective instead to say that this is describing now, what could we put? Okay, very good, very good. So the current layout. And then we're going to change the word order a bit. So we've got the University Sports Centre. How could we change that a little bit? Any ideas? Just changing. Okay, yeah, good. So we can, instead of saying universities, we can say of the university, at the university. Okay, so, and we've used complex rather than centre. Okay, so we've got a mix there of synonyms and order of the words. Okay, and then we've got along with rather than and. So how can we change the whole of the end of that sentence? What would be just a very different way of expressing that? Okay, how it's going to look after redevelopment. Okay, very nice. It's future design. Okay, or yeah, how it will be in the future. Okay, future structure. Okay, so we've used future improvements. Okay, so, you know, future plans, proposals, a very nice word to use as a synonym for plan. Okay, yeah, structure of the development, something like that. So exactly the same meaning, but we've got a very different sentence there, and we're really showing that we can manipulate all of this language. Okay, yes, I like that, Rita. That's nice. Proposed final look. Okay, and that's enough for your introduction. Don't really need to put anything more than that. And we've made it very clear the timeline. So remember, you always need to put the timeline in the task 1 when there's a question of a timeline. So we have current and we have proposed future. Okay. So after the introduction, we're going to move on to the overview. It's quite good to do that immediately afterwards. You're sure it's done then, because that's very important for your mark. Okay. So we're going to bring up our example first of all, and Just to remind you, this is the main trends that we picked out, basically larger and more facilities. Okay. So any ideas? In order to get 6 or above in terms of the overview, so this is in the task achievement marking criteria, what do you need to do? What do you need to do with the overview in order to make sure that you get a very good mark in task achievement? What would you say? Okay, so very good. You've got to write the main changes. You need to use some kind of linking expression to begin. I'm not quite sure what you mean by strong words. Usually that's kind of like bad language, but yeah, definite words, I think. Yeah, okay, like overall, very, very good. So you need to make it very clear. That's what it says, which one is introducing it with a linking phrase, overall. In general works fine as well. 2, separating it from the rest of your task, or the rest of your answer, by putting it in a paragraph completely on its own. Okay. And thirdly, and very, very important, that you clearly separate the main trends from the detail. Okay, that's true for all of the task ones. Make sure that there's a very clear distinction there. Okay. So yeah, most important features, no detail at all in the overview. Okay. Yes, and we've got some nice introductory phrases here, like a break, it's clear that, or as is shown that. Okay. So let's have a look at this in more detail. So overall, very important to highlight it with the linking phrase. So remember, we're talking about the future plans. So what kind of word could we put in the missing word? It's very nice, Raj. Clear and crisp overview. I like that. That's a good way of remembering. Okay, is plan is expected to, is for, okay, very good, is forecast to, is predicted to. So we've gone with expected, like Rita put, to expand significantly. Okay, so then we've got our bigger. Okay. And then the outdoor courts. What do you think is missing from that part? Think about the when we have the outdoor courts. We're looking for an adverb to talk about now. Okay, very good, Bruna, very nice. Yeah, currently in place. Okay, yeah, okay, so something to say that's what's happening now. So they will be removed. Okay, that's a big change. And how can we carry on with that? Okay, very nice. Yeah, replaced with. Okay, new. Okay, so we've got indoor, we've got modern, that could be fine. Yeah, so we've gone for indoor. Remember, as Chinabda said, that we're going to incorporate everything inside. Okay, and then we just give the new ones. So what word would you say is missing there? Okay, very good. Okay, very good, Bruna and Dwi. Such as leisure pool, sports hall, and the dance studio. You could also put including. Okay, I would avoid using like because it's a bit informal. Okay, I mean it's a good word when you're speaking, but it's a bit informal for the writing. Okay, so that's our overview. 2 sentences. We've got the size, the change in the size, the new facilities, and the fact that everything is moving indoor. Okay. All right. So we've now got our introduction and we've got our overview. Okay. So now we're going to look at the detail. Okay, so remember we're going to give the very specific changes that have taken place here. Okay, so have a look at now. Okay, so that's the first map that we had. Okay, and then we have the future plans. Okay, so we're going to divide it up in one way. So it is important to try and group the changes so that it makes sense. So how could you group the changes? What kind of categories could you put the changes in? Or how could you organize your answer? Okay, so we could do it in terms of location, Rita, very good. So, you know, we could go from north to south, east to west, right to left. Or we could talk about indoor and outdoor changes, that's very good. Yeah, we could talk about the sort of the size or the importance of the changes. So there's different ways, it doesn't really matter. But, you know, it's good to pick one and then stick with that type of change, okay? We could also do what's new, what's replaced, what's knocked down, that kind of thing, okay? All right, or you could, in this case, you could talk about what's there at the moment first, and then you can move on to talk about the changes in the future, okay? So present description, future plans. So you have quite a lot of choice there. It doesn't really matter, but what's important is that you are consistent, okay? Yeah, the pool can be inside or outside. Seems to be some controversy over the swimming pool, but I think we can have an indoor pool, we can have an outdoor pool. It's fine, yeah. Yeah, a more fun pool we've got outside, a leisure pool, okay. So let's start with the first body paragraph. So as I said, we are going to start with looking at the current situation. Okay, so just have a look in that in more detail. And we've got our description here. So we're going to look at it in a little bit more detail. And what we're going to focus on now are the words that you can use to describe location. Okay. Okay, good. All right, so we're there already. So I'm going to give you the words. If you look at the left-hand side, these are the words that we're going to use. So just take a look at those. Okay. And there are other options as well. So if you have other ideas, you can put those forward. Okay, good. Yes, so at present, an entrance on the south side of the building. Okay. What happens then? Okay, very good. Leads into, or you could say leads to a reception area. Okay, so describing orientation, layout, you've got to have a good range of vocabulary. All right, then we move on to talk about the pool. Okay, very good. Behind this. Okay, so we need a preposition because we've got this. Okay, then we have the changing room and the seating area. Where are the changing room and the seating area? Okay, just not quite. Yeah, okay, very good. Ahmed, Ludvika are there. So they're on either side of the pool. Yeah, on either side of the pool. You can't just say east and west. You would need some kind of preposition. Okay, and where is the gym? The gym is, okay, good, at the rear. Okay, yeah, or you could say at the end, but at the rear is quite a nice word to use when you're actually talking about inside a building. Okay, all right, then we talk about the main building and the two outdoor courts. Okay. All right, so yeah, outside the main building. Okay. And then finally, so situated on the, what are we left with? Okay, east and west side respectively. Okay, so remember when you use east and west, you need to have some kind of preposition. So you will be saying on the east side, on the west side. Okay. You don't need to use Eastern and Western. That's related to regions. Okay, so we're not talking about regions here. Okay. No, it's, you talk about on the east side and on the west side. So you're actually talking about each one. I can understand why you would say that, but the the logic is that it's this and this respectively. It's not on both sides, it's on this side and on this side. Okay, you could use left and right, Bruno, that's fine. Okay, but remember that they do have a compass point here, so they would expect you to use some expressions related to those directions. Okay, so do look for the compass rose, and if there is one, then try to make sure that you get at least some expressions using north, south, east, and west. Okay. So that was mainly focusing on location. So particularly when you're talking about a layout or a complex like this, rather than a town, really important to get those whole range of location phrases in. Okay. You could say to the left and the right of the main complex. That would be fine. Yeah. Okay, let's look at this in a little bit more detail. So we've got the location expressions. That's very important. There's some other things that we need to think about. So start logically, have some kind of logical flow to your answer. So clearly here, a logical place to start would be an entrance. That's where you're going to start if you go to the building. So that makes more sense than, for example, starting with the outdoor courts. Okay. And very, very important, time expressions. Okay, make it very clear at the beginning, at present, currently, these days, something like that. Make it very clear you're talking about the first picture. Okay. And in that case, obviously, if we're talking about the present, then we're going to use all present simple forms. Okay. Simple as well, not continuous. Okay. Something important to remember. So just present simple throughout this paragraph. Okay. Then we also want to make sure that our flow is good. Okay. And there's various ways that we could, improve the flow. So using linking phrases, so we've got finally, we've got at present at the beginning, we've got finally, words that replace nouns so that we're not just repeating the nouns all the time. So we have this, we have which, we have respectively. So these are all replacements for nouns, and it makes the flow much better, much smoother. Okay, and it's just more sophisticated language, basically. Okay, so that's our first paragraph where we basically describe the situation as is. Okay, then we're going to move on to talk about the future plans. Okay, so as we said before, clearly we're now going to need to use future tenses to talk about those plans. That doesn't just mean using will all the time, okay? That would be a bit repetitive. Again, we want to get some variety in our language. We want to show the examiner, how big a variety of words and expressions we can use. So what kinds of verbs, what kind of expressions can we use to talk about future plans? Okay, so we've got going to, okay, very good, Kwan. We've got expect, anticipate, predict, definitely will as well. Okay, planned, very good. Okay, or yeah, projected. So simple present, future simple is one way. Again, going to, because it's a plan, we can use as well. And then we can use particular vocabulary, so plan, expect, set to, quite a nice one, a bit more, a bit less common. Okay, so try and get a good variety there in your language for the future. Okay, so all of these, as you can see, are active forms. We don't want to use very much active because we're not really very interested in who is going to do this. We're interested in the features. We're interested in the university itself. So you need to show the examiner you can use a range of passives. So if we were going to use a passive for the first one, what would we put? Okay, very good. So yeah, will be built. Make sure you get that T there on the irregular past participle. Good. Yeah, will be built. Okay, what about the second one? Okay, courts. Courts. It's plural. Not quite there yet. The outdoor courts. Hello. Ah, okay, thank you. That's grand, good. All right, are going to be replaced. Okay, do be careful with that. It's very easy to, you've got to make sure that you use singular or plural. Okay, so are going to be replaced. All right. Okay, are to be replaced. Very nice, David. That's also a very good expression that you can use about a plan. Yeah. Okay, what about the next one? They're planning a new sports hall. A new sports hall. Be careful with your singular plural here. Okay. Okay, good. Is being planned omitted? Very good. Or is planned? Either of those. Okay, so be careful with your passive forms here. Remember that it's the verb to be in whatever tense you are using, plus the past participle. Okay. So yeah, is being planned, and here it's a hall, so it's singular. Okay, what about the next one? They expect to build a new leisure pool. We've changed it a bit to a changing room. New play is expected to be built. Very nice, Veronica. That's quite a long, confusing one. Is expected to be built. Okay, I missed it. Okay, and then finally, they are set to remove the outdoor courts. So how can we do this? Okay, very good, City. Yeah, okay, now we're on it. Are set to be removed. Very good. So do be careful with your singular plural. It's very easy to get that wrong. Yeah, if you're not paying attention. And be very careful about forming the passive correctly. Okay, if you're not sure, do some practice, because it's not only useful here, but it's useful with the process and in the task too as well. So make sure you're totally confident with using the passive form. Okay, so good range of vocabulary and tenses there for using the passive. It's generally with the map, you're going to want to use the passive, Samuel, because we're not interested in who's doing it. We're interested in the buildings themselves. So, and the buildings are the object. So therefore it makes sense to use the passive and put the object at the beginning, which is the most important piece of information in English. You always start with the most important. So that means you would use the passive. Okay. You can change it round a bit if you want to then use something else and say, for example, the university will build a changing room. That's good too, because then it shows that you can use both forms. But the majority you would probably want to put in the passive. Okay. All right, so now we're going to look more at the changes. Okay, we're going to look at a few details here and then also different ways that you could change them. So at the moment we've got outdoor courts. In the future we're going to have an indoor leisure pool because it's all going indoors. So what change might you talk about here? Any ideas? Okay, yes, the facilities are changing. Give me a bit more detail. How would you phrase the sentence here? Remember, we're on the body paragraph now, so we're looking at the details. We're not looking at overall changes. Let's have a look. Okay. So basically, the most important thing is we're removing, or replacing the outdoor courts. Okay. So here we've got an active form. So if we wanted to put that in the passive, how would we put that in the passive? Okay, that's very nice, Ludovica. Yeah, just change it about. Will be replaced with a leisure pool a changing room and a sports shop. Okay. All right. Okay, very good. So we could say are set to be removed, or will be removed, or are going to be replaced, something like that. Okay. All right. And you can also change the grammar form. So remember, the word form is very important, getting the right word form. So we want to use verbs, but we also want to use nouns as well. Okay. So what can we, so first of all, we want an adjective to talk about these changes that we are planning. So how can we, okay, the future changes. Yeah, any other ideas for that? The main changes, the proposed changes, very nice. That's what we're, or the planned is very good as well. So the proposed changes will include, and then we need to use, okay, very nice. So Devika, the removal of the outdoor courts. Okay, we can definitely use that. Okay, or we can use the gerund, which is another way of doing the noun. So we'll include removing the outdoor courts. Okay, so the removal of, or just removing. Yeah, very good, Ganesh. So 3 ways of doing the same sentence. So you want to have a mix of all of those sentences throughout, so that you're not just, it's not mechanical, as they say. It's not just like a repetition of the same sentence structure all the way through. Okay. So what else can we look at? So the new leisure pool and changing room. So the university, what could we put in there? Okay, David, you could also use it as an introductory phrase. It is planned that works fine. Okay. Remember, we're talking about our future changes here. Okay. Okay, that's nice. Quite is expected to construct or will build. I'm going to say expects to build. So if we want to change that into a passive form, how would we do that? A new leisure pool and changing room. What's our passive form here? Okay, very nice. Okay, yeah, so are expected to be built. We've got 2 features there, remember, so we need to use the plural form, okay? And then again, we can change the word formation. So we can use adjectives and we can use nouns or gerunds. So what could we put in front of redevelopment as an adjective? Okay, very good. Proposed works very, very well. Or yeah, new, expected, planned, not really designed. I think you'd have to use that in a slightly different way. Future would work as well. So will involve what? Okay. Good. Yeah, so we can use a gerund form. So we could say building, adding, creating, constructing, anything like that. Can't really use ought to or should. That's like you're giving advice to them about what that you believe needs to be done. But remember, this is a straightforward description. You're kind of veering into analysis or opinion there. Okay. Introducing works fine as well. Yeah. Providing. Yeah, I think providing works nicely as well. Yeah. But remember, after involve, it's going to be an ing form or it's going to be the noun. Okay. So let's keep going. So we've got a slightly different area here. Okay. So we can say they're planning to create a new sports hall with a dance studio. Okay. So again, that's an active form, what the university are planning to do. Perfectly fine to use that sometimes. So how could we change that to a passive form? What are we looking for first? So we're looking for a noun. Now we got dance studios there. Okay, very nice. So moving it on to a noun, the creation of a new sports hall. Okay, very good. Is planned. There are 2 studios. We've gone with 1, but yes, you're right. With 2 dance studios. Very good, Irina. We're only interested in one of them. Okay, is planned. Okay, and then we can also change the form. So using an adjective. So what could we put in front of improvements? Okay, very good. Future improvements, planned improvements works very nicely. So we've gone for planned, very good. Future is totally in fine. And this will include, very like involve in terms of the grammar. Okay, very good. So we can say creating, or we can say the creation of. Remember, if you use the noun, you need to add of afterwards, okay? And it's always with the. So the creation of, the addition of, the construction of. You could say the introduction of, that would be fine, okay? And you can use facilities there, okay? So putting it all together, we'll just do this very quickly. So regarding, we're going to fill in the missing words here. Regarding the, remember we're talking about the second one here. Okay, very good. The future plans, the proposed designs, that's very nice. Future proposals, all very, very good. Okay, we've gone with proposed developments. Okay, the outdoor courts are set to be, what can we put after that? Okay, very good. Removed. Yeah, removed. Could say demolished. Yeah, okay. Remember, it's a passive, so we're using the past participle. Okay, and the building will, what? Okay, good. Yeah. Okay, yeah, we've gone to consist of works well, or become, okay, house, okay. So you've got to use one of those, that the change from how it is now to how it's going to be, okay. All right, how are we going to introduce the next part? We've got a bit of we talked about change, but actually the pool in the middle is remaining. Okay, yeah, we could say as for. We're going to make a contrast. So we're actually going to say while the 25-meter pool will remain the same. Okay, very good. Or you could use a linking phrase. You're right, Kwan. So like in contrast, or conversely, comma, the 25-meter pool will remain the same. Okay, we're going to contrast it with something else here. So a leisure pool, how are we going to, oh, in stark contrast. Very nice, Kate. I like that. That's very good. Yeah. Okay, how can we, I wouldn't really say stay in place though, remain the same or remain in the same place. Okay. And okay, so we're going to add an additional changing room. Okay, is, okay, very good. Is expected to be built, planned to be built, going to be built. That's fine. Okay, we could also say an extra changing room, another changing room. Anticipated, that's fine. Yeah, all of those words to talk about future expectations. Okay. In the West, okay, all right, we could put that, okay. But we've actually gone, you know, a nice word to use is wing, okay. So we've got the center part and then we have 2 wings. So you're using less common words there. It's going to get you better marks in your Lexis, okay. But, you know, at the side is also fine. Okay, so what are we going to put in front of this one? Okay, very good. In the east wing, or you could say in the other wing, yeah, a planned sports hall. Okay, we'll in the opposite wing. Yeah, you could say opposite. Yeah. Okay, yeah, very nice. So we'll include dance studios, very good, and a, okay, yeah, you could say a large changing room, a new changing room. We've gone again for a further, so rather than repeat additional, a further changing room, an extra changing room, something like that. Okay. So all our details, good mix of vocabulary, good mix of sentence structure, good mix of grammar, but still using all of those kinds of forms, okay? And then we have one last one. So there are also, okay, yeah, that would be, if you had is, you would say, you could say there's also space, or yeah, we're talking about plans, proposals, okay, for a sports shop and a, what have we not talked about yet? We're in the reception, and a small cafe in the reception area. Okay, very, very nice. All right, so let's just look at some of the details again. So again, now we've moved on to the future. So the proposed developments, making it very clear. All of our verbs are now in the future, either the future tense or future vocabulary, okay? And we're also using all of those ways in order to make it much smoother, okay? So conjunctions, linking phrases, using reference forms instead of repeating the verb, okay? So there you have the complete version, and I'll pass back to Jamie for our question and answer.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Annalie, for that presentation. That was great. And thank you, everyone, for asking your questions and giving the answers throughout. That's been really, really great. We will have some time to discuss your questions in a moment. I would just like, a few of you have been asking questions about where you can see our previous webinars. So you can actually find recordings from our webinars on our Facebook page. I'm putting the link to that in the chat just now. That has recordings of all our previous webinars on Writing Task 1, Writing Task 2. We also have webinars on speaking and reading on there as well, so you can check those out. If you are interested in further improving your IELTS score, we also offer a premium service, which is a speaking and a writing evaluation service. You can book this via our website, and you can book some time with a former or current IELTS examiner who can evaluate your performance and give you a full report on your strengths and your weaknesses. So if that's something you're interested in, I'll put the link to that in the chat as well. Now, we have a number of upcoming webinars, and we have a new feature on our website. I put that in the chat. We have a number, you can find all the information about our upcoming webinars on there. So please feel free to check that out. So Annalie, what do you think? Shall we take a look at some of these questions?
Absolutely, yeah.
Good. There was one quick question I saw in the chat there, which was, do we need to write a conclusion for the Writing Task 1?
No conclusion in the task 1, okay? There's an overview, but there's no conclusion. So you have those 3 parts: introduction, overview, body. There's no conclusion. That's only in the task 2, okay? No analysis, no opinion, straightforward description.
Yeah. Excellent. Sharanjit, I can see a question from you regarding the task 2. They're saying, please help with writing task 2. So we can do our best. I would suggest going on to our Facebook group, our Facebook page, and checking out some of the videos we've done on writing task 2. We'll also have a webinar coming up on that, so there'll be more details of that soon. We have a few questions from Kwan, who is asking about the speaking test. How much time can we spend to delay before answering a difficult question in the speaking test? So I guess this is how much thinking time can you have before you answer?
Well, I think the most important thing is that you make it clear to the examiner that you are thinking about content, because that's perfectly fine and natural, but that you are not searching for words or grammar, which would be reason to lower your marks. So usually, you use these fillers. So that's a difficult question. I haven't really thought about that before. Let me think about that for a moment. And just something like that will give you, a few seconds to get your thoughts together. But, it's not going to be much time, to be honest. You do have to, start talking. You could make a sort of general comment at the beginning. Again, that gives you a bit of time to get to your actual opinion and then to carry on with that. Okay, but use the fillers, use a introduction to give yourself time.
Definitely. Another question from Kwan. How can we practice quickly paraphrasing right after we hear the question? So again, this is a speaking question. I guess rather than repeating the words in the question back to the interviewer, what would be a way to quickly kind of paraphrase the question words?
So if you mean like when you're practicing before the test, that's what I'm understanding, you can find the questions, go on, there's lots of places, go on to IELTS online tests, find questions, look at them, and just, do paraphrasing practice, underline the word, think of 2 other words that you could say for that. Remember that it's not always just synonyms, it's also changing word order, changing sentence structures. Those are all good ways of paraphrasing.
Yeah, definitely. If I could add as well that I think it can sometimes help to be aware of the different question types, especially in part 3, but also in part 1. If it's which do you prefer, or do you prefer this or this, then you could have a kind of ready-made answer, the start of the answer. Like, well, in my opinion, I'd have to say that I prefer. And then you can answer, and that gives you a little bit more time to think about the rest of your answer if you've got that little sentence frame ready. So that'd be my 2 cents there.
Absolutely, yeah.
Great. We have a question from Basil, who is asking about a webinar. Could we offer a webinar based on process? Basil, we did a webinar on describing a diagram, a process quite recently. That will be on our Facebook page. We have another one coming up as well about describing a diagram. That the date for that has not been confirmed yet, but it will either be May 28th or possibly June the 6th. So we'll let you know. If you check out our website, you'll be able to see the dates for that. Okay. Question from Ludovica, who is asking, can we write all in capital letters?
Yes, it's not a problem. If you want to write like that, that's not going to make any difference to the examiner whatsoever. Just make it clear, but that's fine.
Okay. So it's okay to write in block capitals in the writing. I knew that was the case for reading, but
Mm-hmm.
also for
Yeah,
writing. Yeah.
if that's yeah, it's totally fine.
Good. All
Totally
right.
fine. Yeah.
Good to know. Um, Ludvika is also asking, do we have any tips for getting an 8 in writing? Quite
Well,
challenging. Yeah.
yeah, it is challenging, but it is possible. I mean, certainly you will need to be using a very wide range of vocabulary, with a lot of less common terms, so sophisticated vocabulary throughout. The word that they use in the examiner's band descriptors is sustained. So that means that it's throughout the whole of the answer. It's not just maybe one or two examples. So sustained use of high-level vocabulary, sustained use of complex sentences. Organization would have to be very clear, full supporting evidence for all of your ideas, good range of linking phrases, but it's possible.
Yeah, definitely. And a couple of questions here from Kwan and also in the chat from Rashana, who are asking about the word count in the writing. So the first question is, do the examiners count the number of words in the writing test? And the second question from Rashana is, how can we count our words on the paper?
Right. Okay. So the examiners are only going to count the words if they feel like it's under the word count. If it seems to be under the word count, they will check. But if it's clearly, over 150 or 250, then, really there's not time to count the words of all of the essays that you have to mark. In terms of you counting your words, the best thing to do is, handwrite your answers while you're practicing. Count then, because then you don't have any time constraints, and just know what 150 plus words looks like in your handwriting, or 250 words plus looks like in your handwriting. So you can just see it on the page in the exam. You've written enough. Okay, and the more practice you do, the better it's going to be. And again, if you have for the task one an introduction, a good overview, all of the details, it's going to be over 150 words. It's not really possible to do a good answer and be less than the word count. The other thing is, if you do the computer-based one, then obviously it's just automatically counted by the computer, so it will always show.
Excellent, definitely. Just seen a message here from Helen Nakem, who is saying, thanks, Annalie, for the lectures so far. I'm glad to announce that today is probably going to be my last attendance for the live class, as my exam comes up next week on Thursday. Please wish me well. So
best of luck. Best of luck. We wish you very, very, very well.
Yeah, definitely. It's always nice to hear from students and to hear how they did in the test as well. So if you do have a good result or a not so good result, share it with us. Let us know what we can do to help. If there's anything we can improve, you can get in touch via our website or our Facebook page. So that'd be great to hear. Good luck, Helen. So we have time for a couple of quick questions. Oh, thank you, Helen. We can see you in the chat there. We'll miss you too.
Thank you.
Fingers crossed. We have time for a couple of quick questions. Omid is asking, what would be the grade of today's essay in the example essay that we've looked at? I would hazard a guess it would be around a 9, apart from the couple of mistakes that you guys have managed to pick out there. Yes, I think it would need to be accurate. So the specific, maybe the 2 dance studios might be noticed by the examiner. So
Yeah, accuracy of information is part of the task achievement. So yeah, but clearly it's a 9. You know. Just one. Sorry, there's Saint is asking in the chat about handwriting. It's only if your handwriting is so bad that it's just impossible for the examiner to read it. Then it's just, I mean, it's a 0 because it's impossible to read. However, examiners are very used to all kinds of different handwriting, lots of crossing out, arrows, stars, things being in the wrong order, and they will certainly try 100%, 110% to read it if it's at all possible. So, you're really talking about just impossible to read for it to affect it. And then it's a 0. So it either doesn't affect it at all or it affects it so much you get nothing.
Absolutely. Right. Thank you so much, Annalie. I'm afraid that's all we have time for today. So we're going to have to say goodbye. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. It's been a pleasure working with you on this. We do have a new feature on our website where we're now able to offer more than one webinar a week. So if you follow the link that I've put in the chat, you'll be able to see all the details of our upcoming webinars. We have one on Monday at the earlier time of 2 p.m. That's UK time, so GMT +1. That is on IELTS speaking. So yeah, if you can join us for that, that would be great. So thank you once again, everyone, for joining us. Big thank you to Annalie.
Thanks, everybody. Bye. Good luck.
Thank you. Hopefully we'll see you all soon. Bye for now.
Bye. Bye-bye. Bye, Jamie.